Another episode of Reattaching My Locks. These locks were trimmed back in April 2023. Didn't recover all the length, but definitely a big improvement. He wants to know what we think, and he attached these locks back on with a needle and thread. Pretty seamless work. Can't really tell that they're even reattached to begin with. Although he did come back posting saying he's back at it again. I couldn't take reattaching my locks with the needle and thread, so I took out the reattached pieces and tied them back in with knots. Didn't come out too bad. What do you think? And it's a very interesting difference between the tied in with knots versus the thread. And honestly, I like the way that the knotted looked better. This way looks a little bit more natural, and I love the way that they're lumpy and clumpy opposed to like perfectly straight, because I feel like the crochet needle kind of makes the locks a little bit straighter than normal, which leads to an unnatural look. So they definitely look more natural this way. And then he says big shout out to the tam that he's rocking, another one of his favorite tams. So very unique look. Appreciate you coming in with the information. Natty Dread in the house. A little freeform fro coming into play. These looking pretty cool. Loving the definition going on here with these locks. Very short, definitely in the baby stage still, so there's lots of room for progress to come along. These looking pretty cool. Wouldn't say these are exactly free-formed. Looks like there may have been some action going on here of some sort. But I do love the way that these Rasta beads are taking place in the locks. Very nice, very cool set of locks. Alright, we got 1 year, 3 months. These looking crazy, definitely very free-formed. You can see lots of webbing. A little bit of sun bleach going on. I like that little patch on the back of his head with these two locks there that seem to be parted out. Very unique, and definitely has some great potential when these locks get a lot longer, lengthier. And I can definitely expect these to marry together much more, creating much thicker locks in the long run. Very cool. He tends to forget about them, usually think about them on wash days only, so you know what it is. And that's the best way to go on the dreadlock journey, is to just forget about them until you need to wash them. 3 years in, working that construction life, dread beads in as well. Definitely as a construction worker, you're gonna have to be washing your hair a lot more often just to get that dust and debris out so it's not settling in too deeply. Unless of course you can find a way to wrap them up or cover them underneath the hard hat. This hard hat looking a little bit too small. I wonder if they make hard hats big enough for extra large heads. Could be an interesting business venture to make construction hats for dreadheads. Here they're looking a bit more cylindrical, thinner, tied up in a little updo as well. Very much like a Trippy Red style right here. 4 years, 7 months, crazy. Looking amazing. You can see how all these locks have congoed together. They've become very flat indeed. The sun has changed the color of the tips of these over time. Got some frizzy hair going on here. These are phenomenal. Some truly freeform locks. From April 2020 to May 2023. This is my favorite picture of the batch. That little side ponytail. Looks like he's got a braid lock going in down here as well. Very interesting set of locks. Keep it up, big ups. This man cut off 7 inches of 8-year freeforms. Now he's maintained with a crochet hook, and I think I messed up. Very interesting. They look fine. Maybe he cut off the ones around the side here. But the best part is, as it says in the comments, it's just an opportunity to start afresh and let them go. It's not bad. He just fell from the glory. It's not about the destination. It's about the experience along the journey. It will be different. And we definitely learn from our mistakes. So I wouldn't feel too bad about it. You still have a full set of locks on your head. And just keep on going from here. Suited and booted. Some Freeform Locs with a front taper. Rocking the full business suit. Looking dapper. It's amazing to see Freeformers wearing the suits. I would love to see more pictures of Freeform dreadheads dressed up in work attire, just to show people that we do in fact come across as work professional and we are not appearing like homeless people. It's definitely a bad stigma to be putting out there that Freeformers look homeless. Tired of hearing that. Locks down versus up 3 years in on the Freeforms. Sick. So this is with them up and this is with them down. What a difference. Cool looking set of locks. I think he's vibing well with this updo. Looking like he's working at the airport. So it's interesting to see what sort of jobs are available for Freeformers that will accept people with hair like ours. And I feel like it's becoming more and more accepted lately, rather than when I was growing up. So we can definitely get into construction, airport work, trades work, arts work as well. I work in video work. I've seen a lot of photographers rocking Freeform Locs. So it's all a matter on how we present our skill sets. Let me know in the comment section what kind of work you guys do with your Freeform Locs. 10 years in. Whoa, look at that length. That's crazy. That is some lock commitment going on here. 10 years in. I wonder if they've ever been trimmed. Doesn't look like they've ever been trimmed at all. Cool. Very nice progression. Updo with the visor. Looks like he's got a bit of a side taper going on here as well. And if I were to guess, this is his occupation as a truck driver. Another big field I've seen a lot of dreadheads land in is driving trucks. Logistics is a big industry, and people are always going to need truck drivers. Almost 3 years in, semi-free. Started with a sponge and twist, and I stopped maintaining after 3 months. It's now been almost 3 years. My hair is very thick and curly, and tips on keeping it healthy. Any tips on keeping it healthy with the immense amount of products? Well, you got to keep it healthy by putting less products, especially chemically processed products. Keep them away from your hair. Use organic ingredients. Keep them moisturized. Keep them washed. And that's pretty much it. And if you can, keep them unseparated. Let them marry together. Let them thicken up and become strong at the roots. Looks like there's a bit of a front taper happening there. Crazy Freeforms. Type 3 hair. We can see how they've started to form together. A lot of curly, kind of wavy hair patterns going on at the tips. This is hair that's it's locked up. It's definitely locked up down here as well. A lot of frizz on this journey. Definitely best just to be embraced. Big ups on this journey. Almost 2 years in. Crazy. So what we see here is some clumpy, lumpy Freeform Locs on the type, I would say type 1, type 2 kind of hair. Now these looking really cool. A lot of frizzy hairs going on, and we still do see some sun bleaching happening as well. Crazy to see the back of the head often the part of our locks that we don't see at all. So it's always interesting to post pictures of the back of your head as well here on the show. And the frizzy hair and the loose hairs are very abundant because of his hair type. Some will probably never lock into the hair fully, but with time and patience, a lot of this frizzy hair will take into itself. It just takes a lot longer with this hair type. And you can tell he's got a thick set of hair because his locks have started to come in, rather wide. Definitely very flat as well. Even this Congo here looks like it's starting to form together. So this is a great journey coming into play. And big ups yourself. June going to be my 4th month freeforming. Just 4 months, and this is the progress happening already. Looks good. You're definitely advancing a lot quicker than most people. And I could just suggest to allow these to Congo and marry together. Let them form bigger sets of locks and separate later down the road. Very nice. Natty, this is a sick set of locks. We got some commitment here because of the length we can see. My guess is about 5, 6, or 7 years in at this point. Big beard to go with it. Very nice. Super cylindrical. These have probably been separated along the way to keep them in this sort of shape. He says in the comments he's actually been locked for 9 years. Almost at that decade mark. What a journey. Here we got somebody embracing the mess and embracing the frizz, and that's what it's all about. Showing those smiles, because having our hair as natural as possible is a beautiful thing. It's something to smile for, because I don't think people can go to the loctician and come out smiling after their hair has been twisted down to the scalp in so much pain. It just doesn't happen. So definitely embracing that frizz is a pathway to happiness. Semi with no maintenance, almost 1 year. These looking dope as well. So I can tell he's clearly got a type 1 hair, a lot of wispy tips. As I said before, it will take longer for this hair to work its way into the locks, but it will lock up eventually. And everybody's got different unique hair types and locks that come into play. So when I see type 1 locks like this, I can see that his hairline and just the fullness of his hair is probably on the thinner side as well. So it's going to be harder to grow thicker locks in the long run, but it doesn't mean that he can't grow locks. And I think these are going to turn out fantastic. He's still got a long way to go on this journey because there's a lot of length and maturity still to take place. So this is pretty much just that beginning baby stage that really sets in the rest of the lock journey. So pushing past this stage is definitely going to be worth it, and also appreciating this stage is going to be worthwhile as well, because it won't last forever and you're gonna one day miss that baby crazy wild stage that you were in. So big ups for sending in this photo, and keep on going with no maintenance. Just keep them washed. New here, almost a year since I stopped getting my wicks done, and I'm loving this new journey I'm on. Feel free to tell me how you think it's coming along. So these are cool because we can see before he had the traditional locks, and then they were crocheted into wicks. And now he's stopped getting the wicks crocheted as well. A very interesting look, because now we can see his scalp has room to breathe. He's not going to have anything tightly maintained down to the roots. So a matter of fact, it's just going to be about keeping his scalp clean and moisturized, which shouldn't be too bad. This kind of reminds me of the way Johnny the Dread scalp looks. So because his locks are so thick, it pulls down to the sides and the back, exposing a lot more like frizzy hair, shorter baby hair on the scalp. This will still grow out into locks over time, but because it's the baby hair and the frizzy hair growing in, it just will take a while for them to lock up. But it's great to have you on the freeform journey and convert it over from 2 other previous types of dreadlock journeys. And on a side note, I can see we got another trucker in the house. Shout out to all the truckers out there. We definitely salute your efforts on the roads. Stay safe, and we appreciate you delivering those necessities that society needs. Freeforms, my children love their hair. Ashira's children watching the latest Not Nation video on YouTube. It's so sick. These locks right here definitely remind me of Bart Simpson. This is sick how they all stand up, and the sibling locks have dropped at this point as well. Very nice to see children with freeforms. It's a rarity of its own and definitely needs to be pushed more so in the future. Love seeing more kids with the freeform locks. Teaches them more about their roots, how to be natural, and just embracing their own beauty. Greetings! Whether you separate or not, the crown is yours. Guidance to all the queens and kings. This is a good statement because freeform locks, yes, whether you separate them or whether you don't separate them, as long as they're being freeforms, it is your crown. A natural crown. Very nice little wooden dread bead going on back here. These locks look like they haven't been separated in certain areas at least. The back definitely looks like it's not separated at all because it's coming in as a big kind of beaver tail looking lock. You can see over here, once they started congoing up, they were not separated and they created more flat rectangular locks. An amazing journey. Definitely appreciate the greetings and welcome to the nation. And lastly here we got a 4-year semi-freeform journey. Very interesting, coming in from the micro fro. And the lock started to take place. So there was some manipulation that occurred here at some point. Maybe it was crocheted, or maybe it was just some separation. But the commitment has stayed, and the length is going far now. And it's great. It's great to see the dreadication happening here. A good length as well on these locks. And this is not a pick, but just was some inspiration. And actually your hair came out pretty close to that inspiration. Like, doesn't normally happen that way when we're freeforming because it's such a unique journey. But your hair came pretty close, and the only difference I kind of see is that you have less frizzy hair than the Dreadspiration here. And this pick also seems to be a little bit thicker on some of these locks. Very nice, very nice.
The nation.